Hang in
Dude,
there. It
that
is. Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to The Smylie Show. Of course, a special edition of The Smylie Show, a journal entry for day one of the 4-day President's Cup. I am Charlie Hulme, just fresh off the course for Hope Valley Men's League. Really tragic, rain out. Was looking forward to bringing you a score update there. I feel like a wet dog right now. He's Smylie Kaufman. He's fresh off the course from following the match of Kolo Morikawa, Sahith Theegala, Minwoo Lee, and Adam Scott today. Smylie, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the big moment that I absolutely loved between Scottie Scheffler and Tom Kim, little trash talk jawing. I think the place we have to start is, well, I'll tell you where we have to start first, is that this show is presented by our friends at Ahead. Got a nice little head hat on here. Popping this little Lululemon Ahead polo after getting out of the rain, so I'm feeling a lot drier
He's
now.
So dialed in, man.
Just so dialed in on the gear. And Ahead is a strategic partner for enterprise clients, helping them navigate the path toward digital transformation. Much like an expert caddy, reading the course ahead and providing the winning combination of equipment and execution. Ahead builds and manages digital platforms that power the most successful organizations in the world. Their consultative approach, unmatched engineering, and innovative solutions combine to accelerate the impact of technology in every client they serve. So you can check out www.ahead.com to learn how Ahead can accelerate your impact.
You know what happened here today? I think
What's that?
Jim Furyk called Ahead to accelerate his team's performance because, my goodness, call off the dogs. This thing, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm kind of waving kind of a flag. It's actually a recovery pin. I was
going to say, I'll wave my recovery pin. Actually, I'll plug recovery pin here too, because let me just, this is just a free one. Actually,
I need it on my knee ASAP. I saw those guys out there today.
So, by the way, terrible idea to try to in my mid 30s and, very needing to lose about 30 pounds, taking up running with the dogs. That turned out to be a terrible idea. I woke up the next day, my back felt awful.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, shocker, right? Never could have seen that coming. Hit it with the recovery pin. I think we're all the way back. I think we're good to go. Okay. And I've got the harnesses downstairs. They just arrived. I got the leashes. So we're going to try to do this thing with the help of recovery pin. So that's your quick little recovery pin update.
Okay. Thank you.
Where you were going with Jim Furyk, here's what I kind of want to start this conversation is either talk us off the ledge here for just the viability of future President's Cup. Maybe it has something to do with the score lines all being close. There were 3 1-ups, 1 3-2, 1 2-1, or Smylie, just push us over the ledge and say we can't keep going with this thing. We got to come up with some sort of change for the format. Where are you standing after the U.S. swept all 5 4-ball matches on day one of the President's Cup at Royal Montreal?
Wow, it didn't really feel that way today, that the United States was just dominating it. All the matches were so close. None of the matches were a blowout. 16 was the furthest, or I should say the shortest a match went. So, to have all these matches go to 18 and the international team not be able to get a half out of any of them, I think is a huge disappointment. It was a weird day, honestly. Just the fact that it's the first day of the President's Cup in Canada just felt like this crowd was just going to be insane. I had heard so much about how Canadian fans were going to be, making an impact, because at President's Cups in the U.S., doesn't matter if it's a Ryder Cup or if it's a President's Cup, the American fans, they make a pretty big impact. And you've heard players in the past say how, it's made a difference. Some of the things that have been said to them while they've been playing, it's been disturbing. There was none of that out there today. And honestly, it felt like I was just at a very, very nice, just pleasant day of golf and just a lot of fun golf watchers. And somebody needs to go fire up the Canadian fans before the round tomorrow, because it was so just the energy wasn't there. The only energy really in the entire day was in that match for just a little bit with Tom Kim and Scotty Scheffler, which was great.
Love that.
I love the back and forth, but there just wasn't a ton of hold putts today. I think Keegan Bradley was one of the few guys to make a bunch of putts. The greens are subtle. Saw a ton of lip outs in my group, but am I ready to wave off or just call off the President's Cup this year? 5 points is a lot. When we're talking about 15 is all you need I guess 15 and a half would be enough. I guess 15, since they have the cup, that would be enough to retain it. So 10 more points from there just doesn't seem like it's that challenging for the United States. So yeah, I would say if the international team somehow won this, it would be a miracle. But I don't know. It just seemed like this was going to be the year, and unfortunately, this is the worst nightmare type of situation.
Where do you think it went wrong for the internationals? Because to your point, if you look at 5-0, it looks like a complete blowout, but there was red and yellow switching back all day long in a number of different matches. Nothing was really truly out of hand, except for that the Scheffler and Henley, after Tom Kim kind of fired them up, they ran away with it and ended up winning 3-2. But was it just, you noted putts not being made. I think, there were some balls in certain groups that were deposited in some hazards, some penalty areas and very crucial moments where they needed to kind of find a fairway and keep the match alive. Was there any key thing that you saw that was like, this is what the internationals did poorly today? Or was it just kind of a tough luck match play day for all, 10 guys out there?
Well, I can really speak to my match in particular, the match 2, and that was between Colin Morikawa and Sahith Theegala. They were playing Adam Scott and Min Woo Lee.
The Friends of the Show match. Amazing.
Friends of the Show match. So that was an interesting match, right? My expectations were that it would go to 18. It did go to 18. But the match, man, it was dominated by Colin Morikawa and at times Adam Scott. To me, Theegala and especially Min Woo at times, they just weren't able to, just find that one moment today. Theegala had more moments than Min Woo did, especially at 18, making a birdie, securing a full point for their team. But Colin was just a machine today. Absolute machine. Fairways, greens, made some putts. He actually, that match could have really gone the United States way with how well he was hitting it in the middle of the round and not making anything. But I said this on the broadcast, was on the 12th hole, par 5. Adam Scott drives it off right, lays it up to 100 yards. Colin Morikawa hits it on the green with a 5-wood. So you assume they're going to make a birdie. And it's a hole that you just got to make a birdie on. And Min Woo had, hold on, I got my sheet. Well, it's over here somewhere. He had like 200 yards, winds down off the left, and he hit 7-iron. And you just can't miss short left. And he hits it short left. And it just to me was the moment in the match of, Adam at that point, anytime the team needed to keep the momentum in the match, Adam was right there. Now, Adam did miss some very, very crucial putts in this match, but he also hit the really nice shots to give him those opportunities where Min really never gave himself the opportunities to have those moments. Adam just misread, I'd say 3 putts inside of 10 feet that he should have made, but so did Colin. So both of those two were hitting great iron shots and not making putts, where Theegala and Min Woo were just kind of 30 feet, put it up there, grab their par and go. And that match really just, after that point, once he made par, they win that hole. And then Adam Scott misses a pretty close birdie putt at 14. To me, they just slammed the door shot with just really good shot iron play. And I think Theegala is going to have a really nice rest of the President's Cup because he looked really good tee to green. Just needs to be a little bit better with the putter. And I think he will be. But that first stays tough. I can't imagine being a rookie. But you got to be happy with how he finished it off, making a birdie at 18 to win the match. And
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Dude, this was actually interesting. So I was thinking in my head, because we were talking about going up to the green, that Colin Morikawa should let Theegala putt his 2.5 footer. And then I'm going in my brain and thinking, I don't think Theegala's had a ball end up in the bottom of the cup today.
Yes. I heard you discuss this with Brad Paxton.
You know, like he's like, you know, either whether it was a conceded putt or a wag putt that it was given, or just picking up a coin. But never, ever have I ever played in a 4-ball where I haven't had a ball end up in the bottom of the cup. So I was thinking to myself, like, if he misses it, it's because he has literally not seen a ball go in the cup today. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, super interesting. And just looking at their scorecard, you can just see how heavily they relied on Morikawa for large stretches of that match. Where do you think, like, if you are Mike Weir, what sort of changes are you dialing up? Because who'd you leave on your bench? You left Mackenzie Hughes on your bench, who also had a nice little he chugged a Stella on the first tee. Nice to see him kind of try to get the crowd fired up.
That honestly is it should have
been a Labatt's. If it was a Labatt's, they might be in a better spot.
That's a day 2 thing. Once like it's close, you know.
Yes.
A day 1's a risky play because now it's a meme, right? Because if you're 0-5, it's like boom, you know, like.
Or maybe he comes out with like a beer hat tomorrow. He's got like 2 of them, but he's got the straws and he just takes them down real quick. Anything to help the team. So I mean, you have him, you have Siwoo Kim you can use. Honestly, I'm surprised Siwoo didn't play day 1.
I'm surprised Mackenzie and Siwoo didn't play today. The reason why, especially for Siwoo, he's a fantastic ball striker, somebody that had a very nice President's Cup the last go around, and I just didn't see Mackenzie playing in the foursomes. I thought he would be playing 4-ball because he's such a good putter, and if you give him enough looks, now maybe they're going to pair him up with somebody tomorrow that's going to be a really nice ball striker that he's, you know, will have more opportunities to make some putts. But that means, you know, if he hits some bad shots, they're going to be, you know, in some trouble. But if it were me, it kind of seemed like a missed opportunity not to put 2 Canadians together. Not that it would have made a difference, but in that first group, go put out Corey Connors, go put out Taylor Pendrith together and let them go. Try to get some energy from the Canadian crowd, but just takeaways of like what this President's Cup needs. Well, first off, if they went to Australia and the United States every year, like you wouldn't have to worry about this.
Yeah.
But I think the Canadian crowd's eventually going to show up. 5-0 lead doesn't help anything. I think the issue with the President's Cup is that it's 4 days and that
Yeah.
And that
It's more.
it's Thursday, right?
It's very
like,
strange. Yeah.
It just seems like it should be a 3-day deal. Go exactly the same format as the Ryder Cup. Instead of 5 matches today, should have been 4. And, I don't know. I think that's kind of one of the things I'm thinking about.
I totally agree with you because it's interesting. And I should go retrace the history of the competition and the way that they've changed the structure of it. But it would seem to me that more so than a Ryder Cup scenario, you'd want the number of matches played to be less for the President's Cup, because that's where you start really exposing the lack of depth and talent on the international side. If you're asking them to play 10 guys every day
compared to the Americans,
right. If you ask them to play 10 instead of 8, and this is no knock on these international guys, but it's just, it's when you get to 9 and 10 on that list and you look at the 9 and 10 on the American side, that's a clear talent advantage. And so I think that going to using 8 guys in each session every day until you get to the 12 singles matches on Sunday would make a lot more sense to give them a better crack at it.
It sure would. And I'd like for you to go look at Justin Ray's Twitter, because I'm sure he's going to have a banger stat to give us.
Always does.
After this.
Always does.
But my instincts heading into tomorrow is that, dude, this is so easy for Furyk. He's like, yep, foursomes. Yeah, I'll send out Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele. I'll send out Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns. I'll send out Max Homa and Brian Harman. And it just seems like it's going to be so easy for him. Once you have everything go the way it should, now you can follow the plan in which you had in place for the entire week. Now Mike Weir's got to second guess everything that he had, maybe put different guys together. Who played poorly today? Who does he want to sit based off of what he saw? So he might have to completely rework some lineups, because he's got to find a way to win the session tomorrow.
I've got 3 for you from Justin Ray.
Let's
Justin
go.
Ray Golf on Ice. I mean, the guy is just a machine. So here sweeping the opening session at the President's Cup in 1994, USA sweeps opening session, goes on to win by 8. In 2000, they also did the same, and they went on to win by 11. Obviously, they've done it this year, so we'll see the way the rest of this President's Cup shakes out. 8 and 11. So that's kind of boat race status. And let me give you 2 more here, because this is kind of a wild one too. So with today's 5-0 score, and there being just 4 ball matches remaining on Saturday, 9 total matches you can play. This will be the first time in President's Cup history that either road team has outscored the home team in 4 ball. Prior to this, the home team had won 11 4-ball matches, no losses, and 3 ties. That's wild. So to go in the complete opposite direction from a home team perspective. The last one, to kind of take it forward a little bit, Christian Bezaden now made 72.1% of his putts from 4 to 8 feet this season, ranked 38th of 169 players on tour. Misses at 16 and 17 were 6 foot 11 inches and 6 feet 8 inches. I'm wondering, to play it forward on the lineup front, if you're talking about getting some Canadians together, getting Mackenzie Hughes off the bench, you go look at that scorecard with Taylor Pendrith and Christian Bezaden out today, and it's a lot of Taylor Pendrith. Would you like to see that one kind of being rolled out tomorrow for 4-ball, or for foursomes rather, Pendrith and Hughes?
Yeah, just throw some Canadians out there. The problem is, the Canadians have been so poor in the last 2 President's Cups. I don't know if they've had a win, between Pendrith and Corey Connors going 0 for 8. And then today, starting out 2 losses in 2 matches. So that's 0 for 10 by the Canadians. It's shocking too, because, the Canadians, we think very highly of as far as their ability to compete out on the PGA Tour. It's not like there's not great PGA Tour Canadian golfers. It's just a little surprising, and maybe you just missed a little bit of a dog from Nick Taylor today. I still am adamant that Nick Taylor should have been on this team, and he's a player that I feel like you could have thrown out there today and got you something. He's just a gritty guy, can make big putts. We've seen it at the Phoenix Open. Maybe a bit overthought on this team.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's tough with those picks, because either way you're trying to kind of dial something up that's different, that's what can we do to flip this result in a unique sort of way. And if they do it, if they take Nick Taylor and Hadwin, and this team loses by a wide margin, then you get accused of being a homer. But I think, kind of to your point, especially with your observations of the lack of atmosphere, like, just give them some Canadians to root for. And so,
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown, right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable, right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
I don't know about Canada on what which like area of Canada's got the best fans. You know, I'm not one to say like, hey, this is the NHL hardest places to play in Canada because these fans are crazy. I don't know if Montreal Canadian fans are considered to be, you know, on the crazy side. I'd imagine the Toronto Maple Leafs maybe would have crazier fans. I'm just throwing it out here.
Edmonton Oilers maybe. I feel like the Edmonton Oilers fans are nuts.
We need to have somebody comment here below to let us give us a tiered list of, you know, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Vancouver. Give us top to bottom.
Calgary Flames as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at us. We're low key hockey guys. Maybe we might be hockey guys.
I've laid a bet or two on the NHL in my day. Have I taken a Calgary and a Winnipeg over in my day.
Love to see the Jets back in Winnipeg after however many years it's been. That's really good stuff.
We used to have lunches, or you know, when we finish up play, and if I'm ever sitting next to Graham Dillette back on when I was on tour, and then be like, hey, how's Calgary look? He's like, yeah, I'll just keep betting their overs, man. Just keep betting their overs. And so I'll just keep betting the overs, and it did pretty well.
Great. Well, drop your best NHL picks in the comments, and what the Rowdies
they hadn't
fan
started
base.
Yet. All right.
Yeah, Rowdies fan base. Yeah, just all the above. You just talk a little hockey with us in the comments, because if you're a Canadian right now, you probably don't want to talk a ton of golf. So our condolences there. It's a tough scene.
Golly, just a nightmare start, not only for the international team and Mike Weir, but for TV as well. We wanted this thing to be tight.
Needed this to be a little closer for some intrigue. The one part of this today that was very intriguing, and that to me, I saw this and I said, ooh, this might give us a little bit of juice for the rest of the President's Cup. And I don't know if we're going to have any more moments like this now that the scoreline is 5-0, but 7th hole of the Scheffler-Henley M. Kim match. Tom Kim makes a lengthy birdie putt, gives a little let's go, a little chest bump, firing up the crowd. Scotty takes a little exception to that. He makes his birdie putt, and as it's trickling into the hole, says, "What about that?" I think that was his quote. "What about that?" And then said, I think, "No," after that, or just something to the crowd. You hear some little smattering of boos. Tom Kim acknowledging that a little bit. And the next hole, the par 4 8th, Tom rolls in a long birdie putt, again, kind of gets the crowd going. And then Scotty Scheffler walks up to the hole, kind of blocks him from the hole, takes the ball to the hole and hands it to him behind him without even making eye contact. And then apparently Sung J M and Tom Kim, step back. Both Henley and Scotty Scheffler have birdie attempts remaining, and Camilo Villegas says, "Hey guys, we're just going to go over to the ninth tee."
Which isn't close, by the way.
Not close, like 60 yards away is what they said on the broadcast. So then both Henley and Scheffler missed those putts and lose the hole. Apparently, Kevin Kisner took a little exception to that move from Villegas and had some words with him after the fact. So there's a lot I want to unpack here. First thing I want to do is, do you have any on the ground insider intel that you can share with us to add a little more color to the story, further than what we just saw that I just laid out on the broadcast?
No, you actually just explained it perfectly. And I think it was Camilo that tried to get them to take a move. And the reason why I'm not a fan of that is because a lot of times after a big putt, when you're walking to the next tee, that's when the fans want to get the loudest. That's when they want to be very excited for you, like keep it going, keep that momentum going. And so for them to walk to the tee, for somebody who wasn't there, I don't know if the fans responded at all, just to create a bit of rustle. But it's always just polite as if there's something that happened to come up, especially, it was a must make putt, so it didn't matter for them to see the next one. But it's just more of a respect thing. It's not the end of the world type of deal. I think Kevin probably just took an exception to it because, it was a vice captain that probably got the guys to take the walk, because Tom Kim and Sung Jae's like, all right, whatever. But Sung Jae probably didn't think anything of it. But Tom probably was like, okay, cool. Yeah. Whatever. And my only thing about the Scotty Scheffler, Tom Kim thing is, I want to try to make this like a, some beef between these two, but I just know how much these guys like each other. And that's the only thing that's frustrating about this, is that I know at the Ryder Cup that guys didn't like each other and that there was genuine dislike for an Ian Poulter, right? Like there was guys that couldn't stand Patrick Reed on the other side. And so that's kind of why I think the Ryder Cup, it definitely sings more, is because you feel the intensity that these guys don't like each other. Now, some obviously get along, but there's few that don't. In the President's Cup, it just doesn't. I like guys like Tom pushing the needle and even Camilo trying to get just some gamesmanship.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over/under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Daboll has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Daboll to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
think the Ryder Cup, it definitely sings more is because you feel the intensity that these guys don't like each other.
Scotty was asked about this after winning the match, and he said, essentially, I would have done the exact same thing. Right? Like, we were playing a Wolf game back home in Dallas. I would have done the exact same thing. And I think in some ways they were probably trying to bring a little energy to a match where, I loved it. Like, I think that's for a competition like this. I'd say it this way. It's tough to kind of place your finger on why this doesn't have as much juice as a Ryder Cup. There are obvious things like, the lack of history in the competition and the lack of competition, itself, and the internationals only winning once and tying once and the Americans winning every other one of those. But beyond that, I think you really kind of touched on it there. There's just a lack of disdain or animosity from one side to the other. And I don't know how you go about like manufacturing that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think if I were Mike Weir in this team room tonight and the vice captains, I think one of the things that they have to think about is like, okay, we need to get our pairings right for tomorrow. That's first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing I would think about is like, man, we didn't really have the energy from the crowd. How can we, as vice captains and captains, do a better job of pumping up the crowd to try to get momentum? Because there's nothing better than for an away team to come into a quiet stadium. And not to say it was quiet, it just didn't have a juice of a Ryder Cup or a home President's Cup or even an away President's Cup in Australia like we saw at Royal Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the two things I try to just, nail. And then the third thing is I think you got to watch Miracle. I think you need to pull out all the DVDs of Say It Ain't So,
Rocky, Angels in the Outfield. Maybe Angels in the Outfield wouldn't be a bad shout. They could use a little bit of that magic right now.
I think they need to order Uber Eats.
Oh yeah,
just
poutine, a lot of poutine. Maybe we'll leave tweeting about poutine. Big win for
me. They all need to huddle up and just get some popcorn, get some food.
Yep.
And really just dive into Miracle and all those other classics that you mentioned, because those are the three things I think they have to do to try to get this thing right tomorrow. They cannot lose the session.
Yeah,
they cannot get dominated in the session.
Movie night. Maybe night. Sandlot. Maybe is there like a large dog in Montreal they can borrow to get a little magic going? Maybe steal the American golf balls. No, I think it's to continue that original thought a little bit further. You almost got to get a little bit pissed off. Like, that's what I like about the Villegas move is like, he's trying to create a little bit of energy or a little bit of, head-to-head animosity a little bit there. It's just a real shame that the person that he needled in the process is like probably the most competitive guy out there in Scotty Scheffler. And I think that's a risk you run. It's like, you can do stuff to kind of get your guys fired up and take a little pride and kind of dislike the other side a little bit, but you run the risk of motivating the Americans who are going to take a slight to that, and then they're going to go out and play great golf the way that Scotty did and make some putts. So
how about my boy Scotty and Russell? That was the pairing I wanted to see, and
it's a great call.
Maybe I'm a future vice captain if I'm coming up with what Jim is thinking. I mean, who's to say that I don't have capabilities of tweeting out on the golf course like my boy Kiz.
I mean, you have a colleague that's a team manager, John Wood. So, I mean, I feel like you're aligned for, and Kisner, another colleague of yours, vice captain.
I'd love to be a water boy. Yeah, one of those things one day.
Maybe I can be like, I've got all the gear now, so maybe I can be assistant to the vice captain. I could come as your assistant, and then that way I'm like, you guys don't have to pay for gear. I'm already ready to go. So I like this. Let's.
Well, I'm interested for tomorrow to see what happens. Do we have pairings out? I know it's 6:44 as we're doing this now. I imagine the pairings should be out any minute. If not, we can. Oh, here we go.
You got them right here?
Yeah. I'll
breaking news. It's not breaking for anyone else out there.
All right. 1:05 p.m. Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele playing Hideki and Sung J M.
Okay.
Next pairing we're going to send out is Sahith Theegala and Colin Morikawa. They're going to play Adam Scott and Taylor Pendrith.
Okay, interesting. So Scott and Pendrith, so not going Canadians there.
Looking through this right now, Min Woo Lee's not playing tomorrow. So Max Homa and Brian Harman in the next match playing Seabez and Jason Day.
Okay.
Wyndham Clark and Tony Finau. at 147, playing Corey Connors and Mackenzie Hughes.
There's your Canadian team.
There's your Canadian team. And then in the anchor match, Scotty Scheffler and Russell Henley, we're going to run that back. And they're going to play Siwoo Kim and Ben An. So quick takeaways in this is that Keegan Bradley is going to be sitting for the American team. And let's see, Sam Burns is going to be sitting for the American team. So that's a little surprising. I thought we might see Sam being played with Scotty Scheffler, but they must have really loved what they saw from Henley today. So I assume we'll see maybe Sam do a double session on Saturday. On the other side, already mentioned Minwoo Lee not playing.
Seabass, the other one?
Nope, Seabass is playing, which I was a little surprised by that. Tom Kim's not playing.
Oh, wow.
That's a little surprising. The one guy that gave you juice. That's
I don't understand that at all. Unless you were like upset somehow by what he did. But I mean, the thing is, like, I'm not being disrespectful. You have a limited amount of like top 20 in the world star power on that team. So like you need those guys to play as many sessions as you possibly can. And, maybe you got to rest Tom Kim somewhere, but that doesn't make any sense to me. Go down 5-0 and the one guy that can give you an emotional spark, you bench him. I don't get that.
I just think he's so good in foursomes. They must just have these pairings. And to me, this looks like pairings that weren't changed. I don't think there was any adjustment to their pairings, which to me, that's a mistake. I think that Tom Kim should be playing. I don't know exactly from this team who you would take out. I would like to see some strokes gained statistics to kind of see like who really struggled from the international team. My guess would be Seabass would be the one guy I would say like put Tom Kim with Jason Day. I think that would give Jason Day a bit of a spark just going with somebody that's going to bring that energy.
Yeah.
Corey Connors and Mackenzie Hughes will be, I think, a really good four-ball team now to think about just how sharp Corey can be with his irons. I imagine that Corey will play on the odds, Mackenzie on the evens. We'll see. I think that can come down to how Mackenzie drives it on the backside with some of those really tough drivable, not drivable holes, I should say, but trouble up the left. He's got to get up there and hit some good tee balls. But again, I look at this and think, man, it's going to be tough for the international team tomorrow. It's going to be tough.
And sneaky Russell Henley, this is how you get your name in the hat for future competitions as a guy that is, I'll say it this way.
Get your wagon to Scotty. Let's go, baby.
If you are the guy that gets Scotty Scheffler playing good match play golf and stuff like this, you're definitely going to get a look for the Ryder Cup next year, no matter where you're on that points list. So it's a pretty good little gig Russell's got this week.
Yep. So that the big swing match in this to me is Max Homa, Brian Harman versus Seabass and Jason Day. That just it seems like a match that the internationals need to try to steal. For those two guys not playing yesterday, can they go steal that match? Can Adam Scott and Taylor Pendrith find something there with Pendrith's length and Hideki and Sung J M? That to me is a really formidable pairing to go try to tackle Cantlay and Schauffele, but that's a challenge.
Well, there you got it. They're the pairings, the matches for tomorrow. Going to be an uphill battle for the internationals. We've laid out the reasons why here. So let's just all cross our fingers and hope we get a little more entertainment for your sake, Smylie, on the TV side, and just for the sake of this competition in general. We need a little bit of a bounce back. Who knows? Maybe this is the year the internationals figure out all shot. That'd be a nice little plot twist that we could look
It definitely would be. And just the American side of Tom Kim not playing. Keegan Bradley seemed like he had a really good day. Putted really well.
Putted great.
Big moment on 18. A little surprised that maybe he's not playing with Tony Finau and that Wyndham was sitting.
Yeah.
Tony is sitting.
I think they were combined 9 under, I want to say.
A little surprised. Surprised he's not going out again. But we'll see him in the afternoon. Or not the afternoon. We'll see him on Saturday morning.
Yeah, nice long break.
it's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Brew Crew has already clinched the National League Central. They're 2 games behind LA. That being the Dodgers, trying to maybe get the 2nd seed in the National League standings for October.
Both of these teams have a chance to score some runs against these pitching matchups, so maybe another over, even though we do have a playoff atmosphere. And yes, Milwaukee did clinch, but there's still an eye on the prize of we might be able to chase down the Dodgers and also the Phillies to get one of those buys.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
I think it's so important for them to get off to a good start. I think it's just going to be so hard to overcome that you can, right? Like singles gives you an opportunity with 12 points available to overcome just, 4 or 5 point deficits, but you just don't want to have to set yourself up. Give yourself if you can just be within 2 points heading into singles, like you got all the chance in the world.
Yeah, the team leading after that first session has won this President's Cup 11 times. So you want to kind of get out there early and kind of, get yourself a little bit of a buffer, especially if you're the international team heading into foursomes the following day.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Smylie, because we're nearing the conclusion of this show. And of course, it's time to kind of put together some predictions. I have what I think is going to happen mapped out over the course of 4 days. How do you want to do this? Do you want to kind of sketch out what you think from score wise? Do you want me to start?
Well, I think it would be cool to maybe do let's do the highest point getter for each team. I think is a fun way to
like that,
to kind of like lead us into
love that.
Who's going to be the surprise player that steps up and has a very good President's Cup that you wouldn't expect. So in that category outside the top guys. And I think from there we can kind of settle in on who's going to win the President's Cup, give a score, which what are like the point availability? So that I can get like because it's 14.5. Is that win it for you?
It's so here's I'll do go by sessions, right? So you can understand how many points are available first, and then you can tally it up from there. So obviously there are 5 matches played in 4-ball on Thursday, and it is just a 4-ball session on Thursday, unlike the Ryder Cup where you have 2 sessions on Friday, 2 sessions on Saturday, and then it's probably worth going over that in full format. So people at home, many of you already know how this works, but just so you can understand. In the Ryder Cup on Friday and Saturday, there are both 4-ball and foursome sessions. And then on Sunday, it's obviously your 12 singles matches. For the President's Cup, it's of course a 4-day competition. So we just discussed how Thursday and Friday, the home captain gets to choose which of those 2 formats is played first. And instead of 4 matches, it's 5 matches. So this week, it's going to be on Thursday, the international team smartly electing to play 4-ball first. So there'll be 5 4-ball matches on Thursday, followed by 5 foursomes matches on Friday, otherwise known as alt shot. And then Saturday is where they cut both of those down into what feels more like a Ryder Cup format. 4 matches for each session. Morning will be 4-ball, afternoon will be foursomes. And then, of course, your 12 singles matches on Sunday. So Smylie it goes 5, 5, and then 8 total on Saturday and 12 on Sunday. Not a math pod. # not a math pod.
Yeah, that didn't answer anything for me.
That didn't answer anything. I thought that was so well done. Well, I think
you set it up great. I just
30 total points available. There you go. Do we get there?
Okay, so you need 15 and a half. Is that right? Okay.
That's correct.
Why does why does 14 and a half come to my brain? That's
because that's the Ryder Cup, right? Yeah. Yeah.
You need 14 to win, but I think it's 14.5 to get the cup back.
Right.
For
yes,
Ryder Cup.
If you're holding the cup, which is the same for this, I assume. If the U.S. wins 15 points this week, they retain.
Got it.
So there you go.
All right,
guys.
Do you want to go first?
So we're going to start with both teams, the leading point getter on those teams. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to start with the international team here. And I think Sung J M is going to be the lead point getter for that team. Just felt like he had a couple, aberrations this year in majors, but he had just that incredibly solid stretch. He seems like a very kind of even keel guy that's just going to keep chugging. And not to say that, a Canadian or even like a rookie like Minwoo Lee couldn't really feel the atmosphere and the energy and use that to propel themselves to, winning 3, 4, 5 matches. But I just feel like he's the guy that has the best chance of just keeping it nice and calm and steady and winning, picking off 3 matches, maybe having another. That's who I think is going to be the lead point getter on the international side. On the American side, this is kind of like a tricky one because, obviously your mind wants to go to Scottie Scheffler, but hasn't had the greatest record in team competitions the last 2 times out. There are some, obviously I think the Gall is going to have a huge President's Cup, but as a rookie, it's tough to kind of put your eggs in that basket out of the gate. So I'm going to go Colin Morikawa here. I mean, just another guy, phenomenal season, should have won the Tour Championship without starting strokes. A guy that I think is going to come in really hungry if you're talking about Scotty, Xander, and Colin being your big 3, so to speak. Those other 2 guys have 3 of the 4 majors that were won this year. So I think Colin's going to be a guy that's going to want to come in and prove a big point this week. So I think he's going to win the most points on the American side.
All right. I was probably going to take Colin Morikawa, so I'll just take somebody else differently.
Okay.
I love Colin for the reasons of just accuracy off the tee, eliminating the left side of the golf course. And I think the putter too. I like him on these greens and just – getting into the tighter sections. That's why I like Colin. But to go outside of somebody, I mean, to me, I don't like Xander as much this week because I think over the last couple months, if there was a miss that he had, it was left. That seemed to be a miss that he had, but I still love him on these greens. I would prefer probably Scotty over him. But it's kind of boring, right? You don't want me to say Scotty, but I'm going to give you Scotty Scheffler. It's a leading point getter. And the international side, I want to give you Hideki Matsuyama. And the reason why I'm not is I think Hideki is going to be up to the biggest challenge. I think he's going to be playing the best that the United States puts out. I don't know how they do if they just put their 5 in order and then put it out. Or if
they kind of go back and forth in that session that I believe happens on Wednesday, where they kind of draft it in I don't know if they do it snake
they
order.
Put out there. Anyways, yeah. I just assume
they do a draft it's like it's a back and forth thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to put Hideki against their best, and I think that makes it a little bit more challenging to win the points or to be the highest point getter because it'd be really difficult to take down USA's best every single session. So it's like, who's the guy that's going to be maybe drawing different, drawing rookies, drawing different matchups every day. And my brain kind of takes me to it once. I want to take Tom Kim just because I feel like this golf course really suits his game, hits it really straight, and gonna have plenty of opportunities. And I'm gonna go with Tom Kim for that reason. Although the form isn't necessarily like it doesn't say that on paper, but my gut feeling is that Tom Kim is gonna have a tremendous President's Cup, and I'm predicting him to score the most points for the international team.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all people.
What in
in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Crew has already clinched the National League Central. They're 2 games behind LA, that being the Dodgers, trying to maybe get the 2nd seed in the National League standings for October.
Both of these teams have a chance to score some runs against these pitching matchups, so maybe another over, even though we do have a playoff atmosphere. And yes, Milwaukee did clinch, but there's still an eye on the prize of we might be able to chase down the Dodgers and also the Phillies to get one of those buys.
The early line, only on.
I've thought about this long and hard, and I see a world in which the United States shows up, they play free, and they dominate, and they win this thing similar. They won a lot, by a lot.
None of those added up to 30, by the way.
Wait, you didn't subtract too?
It's honestly, there are people out there probably think it's a bit like we're just this bad at math. I wish we weren't, but we just are.
Okay. All right. So I think this is a buzzer beater. I've gone to, yes, the United States is going to go and just absolutely wear them out. I'm not there. I think this is going to be really close. And part of me thinks that the international team is going to win. I feel it in my gut. And I want to just make that prediction, but I think there's just too many guys like a Wyndham, like a Sahith, like a Sam Burns that I think step up. That it's just too. I think it's just too much, and I think it ends up being very, very close. I think it comes down within the last couple matches. I'm going to go with 15.5 to 14.5 United States.
Wow. I love it. That's going to make for compelling television. I agree with you. Like, it's all of us want to find the world in which this thing gets interesting and the internationals pick off a home win, and all of a sudden we care more about the President's Cup again. But I think for me, where that whole thing breaks down is just looking at the Sunday singles lineup. And that's no disrespect to the guys on the international side. It's a huge compliment to all the firepower the Americans have throughout the entire lineup. And even the guys that aren't like obvious firepower guys like a Russell Henley, I think he's just going to be a phenomenal match play competitor and do really well this week. So I think I think Mike Weir could dial up some magic in those first 3 days and keep it close, but I just think singles is where it's just going to be tough for them.
Jim Furyk didn't have the best go at it the last time he was the captain for the Ryder Cup, but I think he's learned a little bit from that experience, and I actually think he's going to be able to motivate these guys, because it would be easy for me to think that these guys are just going to kind of show up and expect to win. I don't think Jim Furyk's really wired that way. I think he's going to really, try to get these guys intense and ready to go right from the get-go. I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be a battle. This golf course doesn't lend itself to be able to just cruise around it. You got to be able to go out on that front nine, make some putts, and then on the back nine, play some strategic, aggressive golf that's at really tight targets. So you're going to have to go up and play some good golf. And it's not easy to win on the road, as I've laid out here before. And I think the USA just narrowly gets it done.
Well, there you go. So it's Smylie's on the record for 15.5 to 14.5. I have 17 to 13. Both of us have the Americans winning the President's Cup yet again. So we'll have to wait until. That's actually something I should know. Do you know where are we next hosting the President's Cup? Is it back Quail Hollow again?
The next President's Cup is no, it's not at Quail Hollow. It's going to be in the U.S. Where would it be?
We're looking it up right now. Medina.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, that's going to be sick. That's going to be very sick.
And then it's in Royal Melbourne in 28,
which is also very, very sick.
Yeah.
Look at that. So that's what we got for you. Smylie, I'm going to let you wrap things up. Go get some poutine. Have you ever had poutine before?
Huh?
Have you ever had poutine before?
No.
Oh,
I'm about to just Uber eat something. It's already 7:40. It's been a long day. Got up at 4:40. So yeah, it's been a long one.
You know those cheese curds we had at Culver's?
Yeah.
So it's like fries with those cheese curds in there covered in gravy.
Oh gosh, that would wear me out.
I'll put you
man.
right to sleep.
I'm gonna try to eat good this week. We'll see how well that goes. Yeah, I'm excited for this President's Cup. Just getting on site, seeing the build out, the first tee. They had the DJ out late this evening playing some music, so it got me excited. And the only thing I'll leave you with is it's only happened one time. The United States has lost 2 team events in a row, and potentially is it going to happen again? I think that's the storyline to watch for the internationals. You know, with it being an extra day, you can kind of build these storylines every day. If the international team is leading throughout, which, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if the international team took a lead 2 singles and that they, had a lead throughout the entire deal. But I still feel like the U.S. is going to end up just narrowly winning this thing.
Well, a huge thanks to Ahead and Recovery Pen for kindly presenting our coverage this week of the President's Cup. We're going to be back here as we always are for majors and big events with daily journals. So look for that in your feeds late Thursday night, and then of course Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But that's all for us tonight. We appreciate you watching and listening, and hope you enjoy the start of the 2024 President's Cup. We'll talk to you soon.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right? But I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But I do have hope for him. I think at season's end he's going to be a quarterback 1. It may be a low end quarterback 1, but a quarterback 1 nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.